Hello and welcome. My name is Nilaus. This is the 13th installment of our tutorial series. Yes, that's what it is. Based in a book where I'll be crafting ready-made blueprints for us to go through so that you can just tag them onto your own base if you feel so inclined. It also tries to show some different ways of doing things. So today, blue science and also the electric engines and electric mining drills that go into it. As part of, let's have a look at first what it takes to make the blue science. The blue science is quite cumbersome. This is where things really start scaling up. I still want to make a setup that goes for 2 science packs per second. So that means in this case I need 24 engine assemblers just to get that going. The interesting thing is that we have already, in my previous tutorial, number 12, I went through how to create the red circuits. So I will not be going through that again. I'll just be assuming that they come in from the bus area, as so many other things. However, we have not touched upon a good engine setup or an electric mining setup, electric mining drill setup. So I'll be working on those as well as drawing in the advanced circuits. Without further ado, let's dive into the first one. The first one is the engines. Let's see. Is that engines? No, that's blue science. They look somewhat the same. And you have to bear with me on the spaghetti thing, because it's gonna look like an awful spaghetti, but it actually isn't. This is quite well thought out, and after first some much chagrin on figuring out how to make it nice, I actually came up with this, which looks awful like spaghetti, but actually is quite good. So the issue is, when it comes to these engine units, is that although it doesn't require much, it takes a hell of a lot of these. So we're talking about here having 2 pipes, one iron gear wheel and 1 steel plate. So that's, if I look at it, I'm saying, okay, the steel and the iron gears, they can go in the same, and the pipes go on their own. That means I'm best utilizing the available space. This is also one that I probably want to scale up bigger than what I need specifically for the blue science, because I also need this for robots, for example, or for electric engines that I also need at a later stage. So I'm gonna need more than this. So I want to make sure that I build this sufficiently big and also make it possible to scale it up. So with that in mind, I'm taking 1 blue, that's not blue, that's red, 1 red line in of iron, 1 red line in of steel, though the steel line will be cut in half. So what we're having here is actually the iron. Let's just start the iron up and start the other one up. That goes in here, and these 3 engines assemblers are just grabbing things from it as fast as they can. And you can see here, they are pushing it out. The reason why I set it up like this is because that's the most space efficient way I could come up with that uses both sides of the belt. And also here, also the reason, if you look at this, it takes half a second, so that generates 2 per second. This, with these 2, that's 4 per second, and this one is 2 per second, so that fits. It's the same ratio. With, let's see, 1 per second here, that's actually only enough to deliver exactly like this. That means it actually needs to be scaled up if you want to extend it. What we should be noticing here is that it takes a while to get all the way up here, and you can see these are still not operational yet, and that's because it only requires 1, while these ones, they just fill up quite a lot. But we have already the first ones coming in here. I would recommend in this case to put a nice little box and put some in here. However many you want, that's up to you. But it's sometimes needed for some engines. You want to build a train, you want to build something like that, or a car. So it's nice to have them in a box. Now, the next thing that we want to build is actually the electric mining drills. If you recall, we also need a mining drill here. So it takes 1 mining drill. That means I need to build a setup that delivers 2 mining drills per second. That is what I have here. Align it towards the other one. I love the robots just spraying out like this. Awesome. And let's put some power on it. So this one is, again, let's look at this one. It's 5 iron gear wheels per 2 seconds. So that's 2.5 per second. in order for me to have this 2.5 per second, so that's 10 per second, 10 per second, that's 5. So this one is really iron intensive, and that's something you really have to keep in mind. This is going to be iron intensive. And again, I do this same kind. You need 2 input to keep this running full time, and it goes out. Whoa. I did not spread this on out, sorry. There, that was actually draining. That should not happen. There, that's getting better. So we don't want this to be running out. And you can see here, these are actually, and they don't quite stockpile at the end, but they are coming down here on this line. Interesting why I chosen to have that one in part of the blueprint. And again, I would recommend having these in some kind of storage location. I'm not putting it as part of the blueprint, but I think it's relevant to do nonetheless. And however many you want, that's up to yourself. Now, the next part is actually just very simple. That's the blueprint, the blue science. The blue science we have here. This is also, it kind of works along the same principle. Oops, I just want to align it. Same principle as the one here. Actually, let's look a bit closer at this one while it's spraying out robots. This is kind of a more advanced setup. This is very much a speedrunner setup where you have these two. This one is taking from this band and putting in, while this one is putting out in this one. So that's the way it actually works. And the same here. So that means some undergrounds in order for these to cover. So I'm actually able to use three belts in the middle. It's quite a neat trick that isn't very often used. And I'm using the same trick on this side here. What I need to do, there's no point in having so much of the red stored here, so I might as well just take it in. Now, all I need to do at this point is actually just feed this in. There. And let's see how it rolls in. See, of course, the engines have been running for a longer time, so we have more of that, and also the stockpile is bigger. But as we progress, you'll be able to see that it is easily able to keep up. Now let's see how they are just rushing in. Getting all the way up? Nope, not quite. But they're getting there. And of course, the electric engines, because they've stockpiled for such a while, they are able to get up. And it's the electromagneticals. There we are. So now everything is running, and I guess the correct thing would be just again to store some in a box, so it doesn't run out. The reason why I'm putting it on one side, I don't want this to be on 2 sides. I just want it on one side. It's expensive materials, so I don't want them stored on belt. I don't want too much belt storage. So that's actually quite simple how it's done. This the engine part is actually the most worrying as I see it, because it takes so much space just to get 2 engines per second. And considering I need it for electric engines as well, and I need it for, what's the other one, robots as well, and I'm probably going to usually need a lot of robots, then yeah, you might want to do 2 of these, and they take a lot of iron. So this one is draining a lot of iron as well. You can see that they are putting in a dent here, that one as well. But it's we have these 3 engines. What is this? This is taking, let's see, this one. Oh. So this is 4 per second, and that's also 4 per second, right? Yeah, 4 per second, that's 8 per second. How is this one operational? This takes 4, 8, that's 20 per second. This one up here is 20 per second, so that's 20 plus 20, that's 40 per second. That's why it has to be 2 red lines, and this one is only 8 per second. So that's not actually that intensive, it just takes a hell of a lot of space. For some reason they changed it. I think it used to be 6, but now it's 10. In any case, I think this very well summarizes, not very difficult to build, and you have the blueprints available, so slam it down and then you're going to be happy with it. So, if you like this, leave a like on the video and a comment below. And if you want to see more of this kind, then of course feel free to subscribe. And thank you very much for joining, and I'll be seeing you in another episode. Cheers.